History, as we're often taught, is a story of great men. Titans like Edison, Bell, and Ford. We learn their names in school, see their statues in parks, and celebrate them as the architects of our modern world. But what if that story is incomplete? What if the book of history has entire chapters missing, filled with brilliant minds who were deliberately left in the margins? Why have history books ignored some of the world's most brilliant minds? We're all taught about Edison and Franklin, but what about the minds behind the traffic light, the home security system, or even the microphone? This is the story of the Black innovators who defied impossible odds to create the world we live in today. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at these everyday objects the same way again. Before we start, if you believe these stories need to be told, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It helps tell the world that this history matters. Let's start with a scene you know all too well. You're at a busy intersection. Cars are flying past. People are rushing to cross the street. It's chaos. Then, a light changes from green to yellow to red. Order is restored. You're safe. But have you ever stopped to ask asterisk, why asterisk? Before the 1920s, the streets were just plain dangerous. Early traffic signals were basic. With only stop and go, this caused horrific accidents because drivers had no warning that the light was about to change. It was a daily, life-threatening problem in America's growing cities. This is where Garrett Morgan enters the story. Born in Kentucky in 1877 to formerly enslaved parents, Morgan was a mechanical genius with only an elementary school education. He just had a knack for seeing a problem and engineering a solution. He had already invented a safety hood, a precursor to the modern gas mask after seeing firefighters struggling to breathe in smoky buildings. In 1916, he famously used his own invention to rescue men trapped in a collapsed tunnel under Lake Erie. Even though the credit was first given to white men who showed up after him. Same instinct for safety drew his attention to the chaos on the streets. After witnessing a terrible crash between a horse-drawn carriage and a car, Morgan knew there had to be a better way. In 1923, he patented the three-position traffic signal. His masterstroke was adding a third, middle position, what we now call the yellow light. A caution signal warned drivers that a change was coming, giving them time to stop safely and clearing the intersection for cross traffic. It was a simple idea with a revolutionary impact. It drastically cut down on accidents and brought a new level of safety to roads everywhere. He eventually sold the patent rights to General Electric for a reported sum of $40,000, which is like getting over $700,000 today. So the next time you pause at a yellow light, remember you're part of a century-old safety dance choreographed by Garrett Morgan. Imagine it's the 1960s in Queens, New York. Crime is on the rise, and police response times are slow. You're a nurse who often comes home late at night to an empty apartment. You feel vulnerable, wishing you could see who was at your door without opening it. What do? Well, if you're Marie Van Britten Brown, you don't just wish for a solution, you invent one. The problem was clear. There was no safe way to monitor your own home. The best you had was a peephole and a chain lock. For Marie, who felt unsafe in her own neighborhood, that wasn't nearly enough. Working with her husband Albert, an electronics technician, Marie created a system that was decades ahead of its time. Together, they built the first ever modern home security system. Their invention, patented on December 2, 1969, was pure genius. It had a motorized camera that could slide up and down to look through for different peepholes, catching people of different heights. The camera fed the images to a monitor inside the apartment so she could see who was at the door from the safety of her bedroom. But she didn't stop there. System also included a two-way microphone to talk to the person outside, a button to unlock the door remotely for guests, and an emergency button to instantly alert the police. This wasn't just a gadget. It was a fully integrated system. It's the direct ancestor of every Ring doorbell, CCTV setup, and smart home security network we use today. When the New York Times interviewed her in 1969, Brown said that with her invention, a woman alone could set off an alarm immediately by pressing a button. Her patent has been cited in over 30 other security patents, forming the DNA of an entire industry that started with one woman's desire to feel safe at home. Thomas Edison gets the credit for inventing the light bulb, but that's not the whole story. His first bulbs had a huge flaw. They burned out almost instantly, making them an expensive gimmick. The world was still lit by gas lamps, which were dangerous and dirty. The real challenge wasn't just creating light, it was creating light that lasted. This is where Lewis Howard Latimer steps out of the shadows. The son of formerly enslaved people, Latimer was a self-taught draftsman and inventor. He taught himself mechanical drawing after serving in the Union Navy during the Civil War and was hired by a patent law firm. His talent was so undeniable that he was the one who drafted the drawings for Alexander Graham Bell's 1876 telephone patent. His path eventually led him to the U.S. Electric Lighting Company, a rival to Thomas Edison. The race was on to perfect the light bulb. Early filaments were made of paper that would just burn to ash in seconds. Latimer, using his deep knowledge of materials, came up with a revolutionary process for making carbon filaments. In 1882, he patented a method for manufacturing a much more durable, longer-lasting carbon filament. This wasn't just an improvement. It was the key that made electric lighting practical and affordable for the average home. His genius was impossible to ignore. Edison's own company hired him, and Latimer became a core member of Edison's elite engineering team, the Edison Pioneers. He didn't just invent, he oversaw the installation of the first public electric lighting systems in New York, Philadelphia, and even London, literally bringing light to the world. He also wrote the first book on electric lighting in 1890. Every time we flip a switch, we're benefiting from the brilliance of Lewis Howard Latimer, the man who truly made the light bulb last. Think about what you're watching this on. A phone? A laptop? A desktop? Think about everything you can plug into it. A printer? A monitor? A mouse? A hard drive. That seamless connection, the ability to expand your computer's power, that wasn't a given. It had to be invented. In the late 70s and early 80s, the personal computer was just getting started. Companies like Apple and Commodore were leading, while the business giant IBM was falling behind. Their machines were closed boxes. You couldn't easily add new parts. This made them pretty useless for the average person. Enter a brilliant young engineer from Tennessee named Dr. Mark Dean. Dean, who had built a tractor from scratch as a kid, joined IBM in 1980 and was tasked with helping create the first IBM personal computer, or PC. Alongside his colleague Dennis Moeller, Dean developed the revolutionary internal hardware that lets you connect peripherals like printers and modems directly to the computer. Suddenly, the PC wasn't a static machine. It was an expandable platform. This design became the industry standard, and it's the reason you can buy a component from any company today and just expect it to work with your computer. Dr. Dean's work was so fundamental that he holds 3 of the original 9 patents for the IBM PC, but he was just getting started. He went on to lead the team that developed the first color PC monitor, and, in 1999, his team at IBM created the first gigahertz processor chip that could do 1 billion calculations per second. This shattered a huge barrier in computing speed. From the way your computer is built to the speed it runs, the digital world we live in was designed, in large part, by Dr. Mark Dean. For centuries, cataracts have been a leading cause of blindness. The condition clouds the lens of the eye, slowly dimming a person's vision until the world just fades to black. For a long time, the surgery to remove them was risky, imprecise, and required a long, painful recovery. Dr. Patricia Bath, an ophthalmologist from Harlem, knew there had to be a better way. During her residency in the 1970s, she made a shocking discovery. Black patients at Harlem Hospital had double the rate of blindness compared to white patients at Columbia University's eye clinic. She realized this was because of a lack of access to eye care, a discovery that led her to pioneer community ophthalmology, a movement to bring eye care to underserved communities. She was driven by the powerful belief that eyesight is a basic human right. Her mission to restore sight led her to her greatest invention. In 1981, she came up with a new way to remove cataracts using a brand new technology, the laser. Facing racism and sexism that limited her research in the US, she took her work to Europe. After 5 years of intensive research, she perfected her device, the La Cerfico probe. Patented in 1988, this incredible device used a laser to vaporize cataracts through a tiny 1 millimeter incision. The procedure was faster, more accurate, less painful, and far safer than anything that came before it. Dr. Patricia Bath became the first African-American female doctor to receive a medical patent. Her invention has since restored sight to millions of people, some of whom had been blind for decades. Her work is a monumental achievement in medicine, a testament to a visionary who didn't just see a problem, but created a beam of light to solve it. Before the 1940s, shipping fresh food long distances was a total gamble. The only method was packing it in ice. A truck driver could start a trip with a full load of chickens and end with a spoiled mess because the ice melted. This limited what people could eat, drove up food prices, and created tons of waste. The world needed a reliable way to keep things cold on the go. Frederick McKinley Jones was the man for the job. An orphan by age 9 who dropped out of school, Jones taught himself mechanical and electrical engineering. By 14, he was a garage mechanic who went on to invent everything from a portable X-ray machine to a device that added sound to movies. In 1938, a trucking company owner complained to Jones's business partner about losing a whole shipment of poultry. The challenge was set. Could Jones build a durable refrigeration unit that could survive the bumpy roads on a long-haul truck? Jones delivered. He created a compact, roof-mounted cooling system, the Thermo King, that was powered by its own small engine. He got the patent for it in 1940. The impact was immediate and massive. Suddenly, fresh produce, meat, and dairy could be shipped anywhere, any time of year. This invention revolutionized the grocery and restaurant industries, leading directly to the modern supermarket and the frozen food aisle. His invention was also critical during World War II, where it was used to transport blood plasma, medicine, and food to soldiers on the front lines, saving countless lives. Jones would go on to hold over 60 patents. He was the first African American elected to the American Society of Refrigeration Engineers, and the first to be posthumously awarded the National Medal of Technology. Every time you enjoy fresh fruit out of season or grab a frozen pizza, you're benefiting from the cool ingenuity of Frederick McKinley Jones. For most of history, menstruation was a topic wrapped in silence and shame. The products available for women were uncomfortable, unreliable, and unsanitary. Before disposable pads, women used cloth rags that were prone to leaking and hard to manage. It was a problem affecting half the population, but it was completely ignored by mainstream inventors. Mary Kenner saw this not as a taboo, but as an engineering challenge. Born into a family of inventors, she was creating from a young age. Back in the 1920s, long before companies saw a market for it, she invented the sanitary belt. Her design was far better than anything else out there. It was an adjustable belt with a moisture-proof napkin pocket designed to prevent leaks and be more comfortable. It was a revolutionary step forward for women's health and freedom. But Mary's story is also a heartbreaking lesson in systemic racism. For decades, she couldn't afford the patenting process. When she finally saved up enough money, her patent was granted in 1956. A company quickly expressed interest in marketing her invention. Mary was thrilled. "Because I saw houses, cars, and everything about to come my way," she recalled. But when the company representative visited her and discovered she was black, everything changed. Sorry to say, when they found out I was black, their interest dropped, Kenner stated. She was rejected again and again. Her patent eventually expired, letting other companies use her idea for free without ever paying her a dime. Mary Kenner never made any money from her most important invention. Despite this, she never stopped creating, patenting for other inventions, including a toilet paper holder for the visually impaired. Her 5 patents make her one of the most prolific black women inventors in history. Her story is one of incredible resilience and unrewarded genius. In the late 19th century, one name was synonymous with invention, Thomas Edison. To challenge him was considered foolish. beat him at his own game was thought to be impossible. But Granville T. Woods did it twice. Known as the Black Edison, Woods was a brilliant and prolific inventor who held nearly 60 patents. With little formal schooling, he taught himself engineering while working on railroads and steamships. His most important invention solved a deadly problem: train collisions. Back in the 1880s, trains couldn't communicate with each other or with stations while they were moving, which led to frequent and horrific accidents. In 1887, Woods invented and patented the synchronous multiplex railway telegraph. This device allowed moving trains to send and receive messages using the telegraph lines that already ran alongside the tracks. It was a monumental leap in railway safety that would save countless lives. However, Thomas Edison's company claimed to have invented a similar system and sued Woods for the patent rights. In a stunning turn of events, Woods, the self-taught black inventor, went to court against the most famous inventor in the world and won. Edison was so impressed that he offered Woods a high-ranking job at his company. Valuing his independence, Woods refused. He went on to invent the grooved wheel that lets streetcars get power from overhead wires and the third rail that powers our subway systems. Granville T. Woods wasn't just an inventor. He was a giant who stood his ground and whose genius could not be denied. These stories are not footnotes in history. They are the main text. The traffic light, the home security system, the long-lasting light bulb, the modern computer, sight-restoring surgery, these aren't just objects. They are the legacies of black innovators who saw a problem and, against all odds, created a solution. They faced a world designed to hold them back. They were denied funding, denied credit, and denied their rightful place in the history books. Mary Kenner's story of having her invention rejected just because she was black is a painful reminder of the barriers they faced, and yet they persevered. They created, innovated, and fundamentally changed the world we all live in. Their stories have been hidden for too long, but they refuse to be erased. It's on us to learn them, share them, and give these innovators the recognition they always deserved. Let's make sure the next generation knows that genius has no color, and that it's time we rewrote history with the truth. Who was the most surprising inventor you learned about today? Let us know in the comments below. If you believe this hidden history needs to be seen, please share this video with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next journey into the untold stories that shaped our world. Thanks for watching.